wish of Westchester and Rockland County. So we all got to fight together. We are all in the same boat. And many of y'all, there's a little of us, but we're in the same fight. That's all I got to say to y'all. Let's all stick together, not just New York City. We're in Westchester, Rockland County, and all. We're having the same problem. Thank you.
So how you guys doing? We can't wait to march together across the Brooklyn Bridge with tenants who've been leading this fight. And we've had a bit of a scheduling change up because, even though we have the program all laid out, everyone doesn't show up when we think they are. So we are working with what we have, but I'm very happy to announce that next up on the microphone is our New York City Public Advocate, Letitia James. We love Letitia James, and while the Public Advocate is on the stage, I'd like to ask some of our other city officials, like Gail Brewer, to come and stand in support of the tenants and stand in support of Tish.
Tenants united will never be defeated. Tenants united will never be defeated. Tenants united will never be defeated. Whose homes? Whose homes? Whose homes? Whose communities? Whose communities? Whose communities? Is housing a right? Listen, tonight, 60,000 New Yorkers will have nowhere to call home. And one of the best tools in our arsenal to fight homelessness is to prevent it. The likelihood of over 1 million tenants in rent-regulated apartments are hanging in the balance. Too many of these New Yorkers are one rent increase away from being on the streets. Like the woman that I met today in the Bronx, a senior citizen who simply said, "Save my home, save my home, save my home." She said, "I can no longer afford rent increases." She said her Social Security and her pensions were not increasing, and that she could not afford any more increases, and that she was one step away from eviction. A woman who has lived in her apartment for over 40 years. We can do better than that as a society, and that's why we are gathered here today to say these are our homes, and we're gonna stand together. Working class New Yorkers should not be living in a perpetual fear, a state of fear that they will be unable to afford their rent. Rent regulation is the city's single most important affordable housing program. It's also one of the most effective ways we can fight income inequality. We must protect tenants with preferential rents. We must make rent increases for building improvements not permanent but temporary. Rent regulations give a family security, allows them to climb the economic ladder, strengthens the middle class, and provides us with diversity in this city. Last summer, New York City's Rent Guidelines Board voted for the lowest recorded rent increase in more than 40 years. This was a big win. And Mayor de Blasio has made a firm commitment to protecting tenants by urging the governor to repeal vacancy decontrol, to end the vacancy allowance, and by launching a new tenant harassment prevention task force with State Attorney General Eric Schneiderman. And the City Council is moving forward in making sure that every tenant has a lawyer when they go into housing court so that we can level the playing field. Too many landlords exploit vacancy decontrol to turn rent-regulated apartments into market-rate apartments that are unaffordable and unattainable for most working New Yorkers. And now, my friends, it's up to Albany to step up and to step out and to protect tenants. It's time for Albany to end vacancy decontrol. It's time for Albany to eliminate the vacancy bonus. It's time for Albany to respond to the needs of New Yorkers. It's time to make these common sense reforms to stop tenant harassment and so that the rent regulation system can function as it was intended. It's time for Albany to reform MCI and other loopholes. It's time for Albany to repeal the Erdstad Law and return control of New York City to the New York City Council. Albany and upstate Republicans should not be regulating our rents. Albany and upstate Republicans should not be regulating our rents. This is about the future of our city. This is about the ability of working families to live in our city. In order to grow and preserve the middle class, we must protect tenants' rights and expand rent regulations. And the time to act, my friends, is now. So I join with you as we say, this is our community and housing is a right.